Tired of podcasts where everyone seems to have it all figured out? So are we. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of challenges, but that doesn't mean you can't take control and step into your purpose. This is Get Yourself Together, the show that keeps it real, tackles life's ups and downs, and helps you grow in faith, purpose, and financial freedom. And now, here's your host, Ty Ziegler.
Hey guys, it's Ty, and welcome to our next episode of Get Yourself Together. I'm here with my guest today, Mrs. Kamika Williams. I'm so excited to have her in the studio with me today. And today, we're talking about a hot topic. Because if we're going to get ourselves together, y'all, one thing we need, and we're going to have to do, is pray. And sometimes, prayer is not enough. We're going to have to fast because we got to get ourselves together. And we need the Lord, okay, to help us do that. Mm-hmm. So, Kamika, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a guest here and just coming on so we can me and you can have this conversation. And one of the reasons that I am having this conversation with you, because me and you have had so many conversations about this, that I was like, man, this would be so great for just to let people in on some of the phone conversations that you and I have had just surrounding prayer and fasting.
Yes.
And just the importance of it for our spiritual life. So look, seriously, do not let her stature fool you, because she might be a little tiny thing, but she is mighty when it comes to prayer.
Yes.
So Kamika, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first time, thank you for having me on. I'm so honored and so grateful for this opportunity. I'm a wife of two girls. They're 16 and 8. I've been married come March 19 years. Born and raised here in North Carolina, went to East Carolina University. I'm just excited for this opportunity to talk about praying and fasting, such a passion of mine. So I'm just really honored to talk about that today. So thank you so much. And so let's just say, when you first started your spiritual journey, did it start with this? Did it start with you praying and fasting? Or did it take some time for you to really recognize this is something that you needed to do? Yeah, I always had a passion for praying, like prayer and just interceding. And that's something that I always wanted to seek God in prayer and interceding for him. And then when you put the fasting in, when you do both, it just increases being in alignment with him and just having that oneness with him, be doing both of those things, it just increased so much in my faith. So I was like, okay, God, I'm praying and fasting, and just seeing the great things he did when I did both of those was just great.
And see, already she got herself together in this area. Because, see, I didn't have myself together in this. Because, see, I thought I could just go to church. I thought that little 2-hour church service, was enough. And I guess I thought that I could kind of throw up a prayer, like throw it up on the way to work, when I needed God to do something in my life real quick. But then I learned that wasn't working for me.
Right. Yeah.
So if you are in my shoes, look, you ain't the only one been there, done that. You got to do more than just go to church. And you cannot just be throwing up prayers to the Lord as you driving to work, and not to say that you can't do that.
Right.
But if you want God to really move in your life and in situations, you have to be a bit more intentional.
Yes.
Than what I was being, And so, bless you for being a wonderful mentor to me, just in that area and stuff. So let's dive in and just talk about, we sometimes see people, on Pinterest, for example, right? And then they'll have these like gorgeous prayer rooms and, all of these decorations. I don't have that. I have my prayer closet.
Right.
That's kind of what I have. And it's literally a closet.
Right.
Okay. What do you have?
I actually, this is something that me and my husband had desired when we got our new home that we have now. I actually have like a prayer room.
Okay.
Where I actually go in and there's nothing wrong with, like you said, you can have your prayer closet, you can, but that's something that me and him both desired, that we wanted to have that intimate place to just have a oneness with God and, just have that place that we can just connect with him. So it's just a room where I have like prayer requests on the wall. I have like different scriptures and things like that.
Okay.
It's not all just so nice, but that's my oasis where I can say this is where I can go and just have my prayer time with him. Okay. And I think that's important. If you don't have that in your, available, if you just have, like you said, a closet or some type of quiet place just to get away, just to be intimate with God and just have that oneness with him.
Okay. Okay. So you don't necessarily have to have the closet. I mean, you don't even have to have a closet. You just need to have a space.
Right.
That you can just set aside and say, okay, this is my space that I'm just going to go to and I think we say the space just because you can eliminate the distractions.
Right.
That are in that particular space. And so when you take that time away with God, what are you taking with you?
Whatever. You can go in there with any type of prayer, like requests you may have, anything that be going on that day. A lot of times I may go in there like, God, I just need you right now type of thing. So let me just go in here and pray and have some time with you. It doesn't really matter when you do it. It can be in the morning, midday, at night, early in the morning. I mean, late at night. It's just whenever you feel a need to go in prayer, I think it's important to have that space, like you said, to have that time with him.
And do you take in, I'm assuming you take in your Bible, do you take in a journal, an ink pen, or do you kind of just already have that stuff available in that room?
I already have that stuff available, but like you said, if you don't, you can just take that with you, like your scripture. I am a journaler, so I like to write things down, and if I have like a certain verse, or I'll go to the Bible and look for things like that, but you already have it in place. But if you don't, you can take in the space with you. Yeah.
And so what do you find for you? I know for myself, when I started this journey, I did this thing of, okay, God, I want to spend more time with you. And this is how I talk to the Lord. I don't pretty it up. It's just going to be what it is. And so I was like, okay, Lord, I want to have a time, spend this time with you. I recognize this is something that I need to do in my life.
Right.
And on my spiritual walk. So what time do you want me to wake up, God? Like, what time do you want me to do this? And the time that kept coming before me was 4:30 a.m. Okay. And I told God no. You do the thing that I ain't hear him correctly. I need you to repeat that, Jesus, because that's not aligning with my flesh, right? And so then, I'm a work in progress. Okay. And so for me, I said, well, okay, Lord, if 4:30 is really the time that I'm hearing from you, because then when it's not what you want to blame that on the devil, right?
Right.
Because that's the enemy, right?
Right.
And so I said, if 4:30, Lord, is the time that you want me to wake up and to pray, then I'm going to need you to wake me up. I'm not setting no alarm clock. I don't know why I be doing myself like this, right? And guess what? Like at 4:15, I woke up and could not go back to sleep.
Yep.
Okay. And so my time is an early time. God may not give everybody that time. I do think it is wise to be intentional to say, God, what time do you want me to seek you? Versus just thinking that you're going to pick this time and then just realizing that time. Do you have a specific time?
I like to do mine early in the morning too. Like I do mine at 6 a.m. before the kids get up, no distractions, the house is quiet. But like you said, though, he can tell you different things at different times. I mean, I had an interaction like I did like a prayer night at a church. And I was just in prayer. And like you said, God would just tell you something. And you like, I don't know if I want to do this. Type thing. So I was just in prayer, praying, and God spoke to me clear and was like, you need to go to this church member's house and go pray for them. That night at the prayer, I was like, oh, God, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I was like, okay. And then, like you said, you start valuing your hair. I was like, okay, they're not home.
That ain't
then
God.
It's,
that ain't
you know,
correct.
Yeah, they're not going, if they're not home, then, I'll have to do this type thing. But when I got there, Ty, the young lady was home. And I was like, oh my God, my heart just dropped. Like, okay.
I think I remember me and you having this conversation.
Yes. And I said, God, I have to be obedient. That's another thing, too. When he speaks clearly to you about anything, a time, or you have to walk in obedience to that. So I was like, okay, God, you told me what to do. I got to be obedient. I have to walk in this now. So I went and went to the young lady. I was like, hey, came to stop by to see you. So I was in prayer, and I know she like, oh my goodness. And I said, God told me to come pray for your womb. And she was like, oh my God. She said, I was supposed to go to Bible study with some young ladies at the church. And she said, I didn't. I felt selfish. And she said, I just want to be home alone and spend time with God. And she said, I haven't told anyone, but I'm 11 weeks pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. I said, okay, God. So I said, well, I'm here to pray for your womb. And she was having some issues having kids before, like a long time with different things and stuff. And she just, just didn't know what was going to happen. The funny thing about it too, Ty, me and her haven't talked in a while. Like we used to do like connect, things like that or whatever. But that's why I was nervous too. I was like, okay, God, I haven't talked to her. See, she's like, what is she doing?
I don't want her to think I'm crazy.
Right. So I prayed for her womb and just prayed for her, and it was like an emotional time and everything. But to say that God bless her with the baby's great. I think that her daughter's 12 now. All of that. But just to say, when God speaks to you in prayer, and you be obedient and active in it and move in it, you don't know what the outcome is of that. So that was just a blessing for me to see that. And that's in a time, Ty, where I was really praying, interceding God a lot during that season. And that's where I'm just going to be transparent. I'm trying to get back to that. More I pray, I'm praying, but I'm not as intentional as I was in that season. And I was like, God, if you can do something like that in the season when I was just so in tune with you, I can imagine like doing it all the time.
And so what I hear from that, Kamika, is our prayer life doesn't just affect us.
Right.
Because God could want to be speaking something to us for someone else.
Right.
And so when we're not intentional about that time, we not only could be missing out on what we desire him to do in our life, but also what he desires us to say or to pray for someone else.
And that's the same thing with fasting. I know we're talking about prayer and fasting. You could be fasting for someone else, not necessarily, like you said, not necessarily for yourself. You could be fasting for a loved one.
Feeling disconnected from your purpose, wondering if things will get better, ready for something new, but you are unsure where to begin. Ty Ziegler understands because she too has faced the same things. Ty's transparency of her own journey of facing depression, insecurity, fear, low self-esteem, and the many other feelings and emotions women hide due to shame. Ty's been there and done that. Today she walks in purpose and is living a transformed life. Let her story inspire you to get yourself together. Tune in to Get Yourself Together podcast and visit tyziegler.com to learn more.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this fasting, because I struggles. I struggles with that. But again, it is another level.
Right.
And what I believe is that the more you desire more of God, I don't believe that God just says you got to change everything and do all of this today. And I think it is it comes with growth.
It does.
And then it is learning how to deny ourselves and grow up even more,
right?
In our spiritual walk. And so, Jesus, I'm gonna be honest too, Lord help me, Jesus. Because the Lord had been telling me for like a year I need to fast. I told you that, right?
Yes.
And so, y'all, my friend, this is why it's good to have good friends in your life, is because she was like, Ty, you need to do it. Like, what are you like? You are walking in disobedience. And I knew that. But food was my friend.
Yeah.
Food was my friend.
Yeah. It's a struggle.
And it's almost as if, like, the minute you say you're going to do it, then you see all the temptations. You know, like I like the Dr. Pepper and with the ice, you know? And then, somebody want to have something at work. And then somebody, want to invite you to lunch. And you thinking, and then it's the perfect place. For me, it's, man, I can get them crab cakes. Like, I can get them crab cakes if I go.
Right.
But I knew this was something that the Lord was telling me to do. So it honestly took me over a year to get to the place that it's like, you know what? I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, because I do believe that when God is saying, do something and we're not doing it, it is disobedience.
It is.
And we want this breakthrough. We want this thing to happen. We're seeking him. We don't understand. But I think it's so important for us to look and say, well, did I do that thing that God told us to do? And sometimes that thing, is start the business. But sometimes it's just get in alignment with your prayer life. And I need you to fast for this to break.
Right.
And I just thought you had a powerful story of a season that you walked through. And all of the things that I just said, like, I don't know about this job. I'm on the job and the food and blah, blah, blah. But then when you shared that, not that I obeyed then, but I heard you. I heard you. And just for my guests, one of the reasons that I want to be so transparent in this is because I want people to know I don't always get it right. You don't always get it right. But it's okay to get back up.
Right.
And say, okay, God, you know what? I ate that cookie. I ate the cookie.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't supposed to eat the cookie.
Right.
But I'm going to get back up, and now I'm going to keep going.
Right.
But you had a very powerful testimony, I think, of just how God, if I remember correctly, you said God spoke to you and told you to fast.
Yes, he did.
And my friend obeyed.
I'm going to be transparent. I was very hesitant, but he kept saying it. So I was like, okay, God, you said it more than one time, like a parent. Like, okay, you telling me, I guess I did something I need to do.
Right.
So in 2011, it was a year that was a lot, family, marriage, that was just a lot of things going on in my life. And
chaos.
Yes, a lot of chaos throughout that whole year. But the funny thing, he didn't tell me to fast that year. He told me the next year, 2012, to fast. He said, you need to fast. Because when I say, Ty, I was going through the things, family, marriage, health, all this stuff, just feeling bad, and my job. I was like, this is just a lot of stuff. And I guess God was like, you need to fast, like, to break this stuff. So he's, like I said, he told me clearly what it was. And another thing too, when you do, like, listen to the Holy Spirit to let you know how long the fast needs to be. He could say a day fast, just 24 hours. He could say 3 days, 7 days, 21 days. But just listen to him to let him know exactly what type of fast and how long the fast needs to be. So he told...
Because he will tell you all of that.
He will. And the funny thing with me, he told me 3 days. But I was like, oh God, I'm going to do 7. Yeah, I'm going to do 7 days. Girl, that 7 days was hard. And the funny thing about it, and I wrote in my journal like each day in the fast, and I was like at day 5, and I was like, well, this is a struggle. I was just struggling. And I was like, God, you told me 3 days. You told me 3 days, but I was just trying to push it to 7. But in that, I know people think like, oh, I need to do the 21-day fast, or
I need to not eat nothing, just not eat nothing. It ain't never fasted,
right? Or do a liquid fast,
yeah.
Like you just can do what you need to do in that. I did a partial Daniel fast because this is something I knew was different from a fast I've done in the past. I had done a fast in the past that was a corporate fast, doing it because everybody was doing it, but my mind was just everywhere tied with it. Like
you were distracted.
Right. And it wasn't like I really wasn't focusing on that fast, just to be honest. But with this, I could tell God was truly speaking to me, telling me what to do in this fast, what to pray for, what I need to be seeking, just me and him. And I saw a big change in just those couple of days fast, doing that fast. So when I did the fast in 2012, 2013, it was a shift in my marriage, in my family tie. All the family came together at my house for Thanksgiving. Like you would have thought what happened to me in 2011.
Right. Didn't
even happen because I fasted in 2012. And that's what I want to like all your listeners too. All because when God tells you to do a fast, it does not mean it's going to happen immediately.
Right.
That was like a 2.5 year transition for me to see from that, what I did in 2012,
right,
what happened in 2011, to see the change in 2013,
right,
of everything that happened. I was like, and I look back and I was like, God, I thank you, because it made me think back to like, that's why you told me to fast. You told me to fast for this, for this to happen. And even I remember my dad, he was like, when we was over there Thanksgiving, because he knew he knew the things, with the family, and he was like, this felt really good, all of us together and just family together. And I said, God, I thank you, because I knew it was because of that fast that I did. So yeah.
And so I remember you telling me too, like, just to even help our listeners, some of the things that you did, because you were working at the time.
I was.
You were working at the time.
Yes.
And how you kind of separated yourself, like you didn't go, I'll let you share, like, how did you manage still going to work, but you were fasting to set yourself up? Because I believe a lot of this is, and what I'm learning from it is setting ourselves up to succeed with the fast versus just going in with no preparation, with no plan, with nothing, just saying, oh, I'm going to fast and I'm going to turn my plate down.
Right.
But you set yourself up to avoid some of the temptations. So how did you do that working?
Well, first off, I did not tell people I was doing a fast. That's the first thing, because that's a distraction.
Right.
So when you start the fast or when you're about to fast, you don't have to make it known, because some people in your circle will kind of throw that in your face.
Right.
You're fasting.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be fat. I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know, but they'll try to see, like, is she going to break the fast?
Right.
So that's the first thing. Like, I did it in secret, and I read a book about fasting that helped me to understand why it's important to do that. Because Matthew 6 I may not be quoting it correctly, but it says when you do things in secret, God will reward you. And I kept having it in my head like, okay, God, you're going to reward me doing this fast in secret and doing this in alignment with you.
Right.
So at work time, I did my thing. I bought my food. I bought my lunch. I was in my, because they know I bought lunch to work, anyway. So it wasn't like it was anything different, But I was just in my room because I worked at a child care at the time. So, I would go out to lunch or in my room while the kids were napping and stuff like that. I would do my, different things like that just to, or my lunch break or whatever. But nobody at work knew I was doing it.
Right.
because I know in the past when people did say it,
Right.
it was like, you fasting,
Right.
you on your fast, and all this stuff, and it's like you don't need that when you're trying to have be in alignment with God and in tune with Him. You need to have that just you and Him. Yeah.
And so let's just, for my sister friends too, if you decide that you're going to fast for a family member or for your family or, your friend or whatever, it is not for you to go to that person and be like, I'm fasting for you.
Right.
I'm fasting for you. You don't need to do none of that. You just need to do this, like you said, in secret, lifting that person up or that situation up. But they don't even need to know. Right. I think in some instances you may need to tell, some people, a spouse or, me and you have talked about it before, things like that. And I think that's good, to tell people, because I need somebody praying for me and helping me, that even when I'm weak, that they can lift me up and help me to stay focused if they see that. Ty told me she was fasting and she hear me. Can I get a Whopper Junior? Like Ty, no, bring that back in. I thought you were supposed to be fasting. I need you to not order that right now. So I guess I say that more so for like, to have that accountability and stuff.
And God will also give you the person, like you said, to be that accountability partner, because everybody's not going to be for and understand why you're doing it. So you need to be in tune with that. Well, like God, pray for that. Pray for an accountability partner that's going to understand what you're doing, the fasting and praying.
Even if we go back to just the power of prayer. And, it's easy for us to say, oh, yeah, prayer changes things. It's those things that, we constantly hear. But prayer really can change things. It changes us.
It does.
And so does fasting. It literally can change us, to transform us, because I don't believe that God shows us other people more than He shows us ourselves. And that is, whether it's through prayer or if it's prayer combined with fasting, it's not going to be, oh, well, you're just going to pray for this person and God going to show you all of the stuff that they need to fix and they need to do and everything going on with you. And He ain't showing you nothing about you. He's going to show you some of those places, some of those things, whether it's things that you need to let go of, things that you need to do, attitudes that need to change. I think so much of that, whether we want to hear it, whether we want to receive it or not, people that we need to forgive, situations or offenses that we have carried for years. I know for me, He's shown me the root of some issues, the root cause, to be, so I could be more specific as I have prayed.
Right.
So do you find that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. He does definitely show you, like you said, during the prayer and fasting, yourself, seeing yourself, even though I was going through, it was a lot of situations when I did it, but it also helped me to focus on stuff with, like you said, my character, how to approach different things during that praying and fasting. Yeah, He does talk to you.
Yeah. And I think that is something that we need to make sure that we are mindful of, because it is easy as flesh to want to see other people. But the first person that we got to see in this is ourselves. Yeah. And God is going to show you. And as we wrap, we're going to wrap this podcast up, and I truly want to thank you, just for coming on and just sharing, because I want more women to engage in this. It's crazy how, we can invite people to we can invite friends to dinner and everybody will show up. Now you invite friends over to pray and everybody busy.
Right.
Everybody got something to do. And so I want to invite and just encourage more women that there's not a specific way to pray.
Mm-mm.
It's just a conversation that you're having with God. And you're not going to start out, you setting yourself up for failure if you have never prayed before and you say that you're going to go in and I'm going to pray for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It don't work like that.
Mm-mm.
It don't work like that. But being intentional about your time, I think that is something that I want women to take away from this is be intentional about your time with God.
Yes.
We can be intentional about our children. And if we know our kids need to be somewhere at a practice at 6:00, we are intentional in making sure that they get there at 5:50.
Yep.
That's how intentional we need to be about the time that we spend with God and praying, because we don't know the miracle, the blessing, the favor, the breakthrough that can be on the other side of our obedience. And just being in relationship with God and knowing that he's going to give us the direction and the wisdom that we need to make whatever we are doing easier. To make whatever we are doing easier. And when you incorporate fasting along with the prayer, I don't think we really realize the chains that can break, the curses, the healing that can come, the deliverance, the breakthrough, the answer.
Yes. Not
only for us, but for our children, for friends, for family members. It's miraculous. It's miraculous. So as we wrap up this episode, my sister friends, if you haven't done it before, I want to encourage you, pray. And if you need to, seek God if you need to go on a fast.
Yes,
seek him. Because that may be the exact thing that you need to do. Because look, you can try it if you want to, but you will never be successful without praying and having that intimate relationship with the Lord. So we're going to leave it right there. All right. Kamika, thank you so much for being a guest. Girl, we got to continue this. We got to continue this and talk more about it at another point.
Yes,
but
thank you.
All right, y'all. Y'all know what to do. Until next time, keep it popping and God bless.
That's a wrap for this episode of Get Yourself Together. If you love what you heard, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a show. Want more inspiration and resources? Visit TyZiegler.com and follow Ty on social media at Ty Ziegler for your daily motivation and real talk. Thanks for tuning in. Now, go out there and get yourself together.